Is the pressure China is exerting on the United States now greater than the pressure the Soviet Union exerted on the United States during the Cold War? My answers are a resounding yes, and it is not just a little bit greater. No matter how fierce the Soviet Union was during the Cold War, the United States always had a bottom line in mind. But now, facing China, the United States is completely flustered, unable to use its strength effectively, and can only watch helplessly as we grow stronger step by step. China did not fire a single shot, and directly abolished the Taiwan-Strait median line established by the United States. China did not fire a single shot at India, and directly rendered India's united front value and international prestige useless. China did not fire a single shot at Australia, and directly forced Australia to accept their MB pricing and settlement for iron ore. China did not fire a single shot at the Philippines. Not only did it take control of Huangyan-Island, but it also held out against the Philippines at Ren'ai-Reef for 26 years. First of all, the Soviet Union during the Cold War could fight and dared to fight. It had many nuclear weapons, long range missiles, and strategic bombers piled up like sand. But the Soviet Union fought wars and trained troops to confront military power. Hit minus on. The rules of the game were very clear. The United States just followed suit, competing to see whose weapons and allies were stronger. Although the United States was also nervous, it knew what to expect. This was a confrontational game with rules. The US-Soviet Cold War was basically a contest of attrition and arms race. Both sides knew they couldn't really fight, because no one could survive a nuclear war. But China's way of playing is completely different. China does not rely on direct threats with guns, but on a style of play that the United States has never seen before, and cannot imitate. Facing this style of play, the United States cannot even explain what the rules of the game are. First, the Taiwan-Strait median line. In the 1952, the United States casually drew a median line on the map. Later, the United States and Taiwan always pretended that this line had meaning, but China never recognized this line at all. When its strength was insufficient, it endured. Once its strength increased, it directly broke the situation. Since 2019, Chinese military aircraft and fighter jets have begun to frequently cross this line. When Pelosi visited Taiwan in 2022, China conducted large scale exercises, with military aircraft and missiles directly crossing the so-called median line. Now, the number of times Chinese military aircraft have entered the area east of the median line at Taiwan-Strait has exceeded many times. Apart from verbal protests, the United States is powerless. The rules were dismantled by China itself, and in the end, the United States can only watch. Second, the India issue. Many years ago, India wanted to raise its status by leveraging Sino-US games, thinking that the United States would fully support it in confronting China. As a result, China did not fight at all, and India messed up its own cards first. In 2025, reports stated that global investors withdrew capital from the Indian market on a large scale, triggering economic shocks in India. The US Indo-Pacific Command even cut its cooperation budget with India. This is truly dealt a blow to India's international united front value and strategic status. What does this show? India overplayed its hand. The United States couldn't keep up, and China didn't even need to take direct action before India fell first. Third, RMB settlement for Australian iron ore. In the past, most global commodities were settled in US dollars, which was the foundation of US financial hegemony. Now the situation has completely changed. More and more countries are trying to get rid of their dependence on the dollar, taking advantage of its economic and industrial chain strengths. China has persuaded countries, including Australia, to accept RMB pricing and settlement. This directly impacts the US dollar hegemony system that the United States built over decades. Watching this, the US side is jumping up and down in anxiety, yet can do nothing about it. Fourth, the Philippines and Ren'ai-Reef. Ren'ai-Reef is actually a classic case of great power games in the Western Pacific. In 1999, the Philippines deliberately ran an old warship aground there, as ironclad evidence to occupy the territory, marking the start of decades of provocations. Instead of directly sinking it, China gradually seized the initiative, through Coast Guard water cannons, supply control, and other means, preventing the other side from reinforcing or expanding its presence. In recent years, confrontations and frictions between the two sides near the reef have continued, although the United States claims to support the Philippines when it comes to actually intervening. The United States just watches from afar, Now the situation has even evolved into some kind of supply and management arrangement between the two sides. On the surface, the dispute continues, but China's actual control is gradually being consolidated. Looking at the United States' current state, militarily, it cannot easily challenge China, for fear of escalation. Economically, it cannot impose strong sanctions on China, because the global supply chain cannot do without China. And in terms of rulemaking, it cannot contain China, because China has already rewritten part of the rules of the game. The United States wants to launch a real, comprehensive encirclement of China, but the reality is that one by one, its allies cannot withstand the economic pressure, and bow down first. If it wants to exclude China from the global economy, the United States itself will suffer the most. This has led to a strange phenomenon. It wants to confront China head-on, but is afraid of losing control. It wants to negotiate, but cannot give up its existing hegemony. It wants to use allies to encircle China, only to find that those allies are even more afraid of economic losses and damage to their own national interests. This is the real reason why the United States has strength but cannot use it. The conclusion is simple. The pressure China is exerting on the United States now is indeed far greater than the pressure the Soviet Union exerted on the United States during the Cold War.